Welcome to VSF Live. The band is back together again. I'm joined today by Whitney of Secret Sauce of Storycraft, Sam of Sam Not So Wise, and Bart of Bart's Bookspace. Hello, everyone.
Hello. We haven't gone anywhere. What do you mean we're back together?
We didn't break up. No.
This band has been together the whole time. What a great intro! If I can just say, I almost started shouting. I knew I was supposed to be quiet during the intro, but this intro is spectacular. I love it. Thank you, Richard, for all the work you put in.
Yeah, it gets you very pumped up. I'm ready to talk about this. Woo!
Exactly. So we're going to be talking today about Norstrilia. It's a novel by Cordwainer Smith. But Cordwainer Smith, to me, is one of the most famous pseudonyms there is for a science fiction author. The only other one I can think of that might rival it would be James Tiptree Jr., who I think that everyone's nodding here knows is Alice B. Sheldon. Fascinating woman in her own right. But Cordwainer Smith, his real name was Paul Linebarger. Now I know that Whitney and I have read up a little bit about him. Do you want to start, Whitney, a little bit telling us what you know about Paul Linebarger, and I can fill in some gaps if I have some that I can.
Well, I think the first big key to know about him is that he wrote the book on psychological warfare. And he did a lot of work with the CIA. He grew up an American, but he sure moved around a lot. So he's very in on politics, and he also really knows people and their psychology really well. He's very well educated, and all of those things come through in his fiction. So much so.
He was born in the United States, but his parents at that time lived in China. And so he actually has a godfather who was a very high up official in China. I don't have it in front of me here right now, but they moved around the world. I think in the Wikipedia page, it says he went to like 30 different high schools as they moved around the world, from China and East Asia to Europe, and then back to United States. And he's a very educated man. He knows Chinese, I think it was German and English. He went to World War II, served in World War II, and actually became a person that the CIA used as an intelligence officer, where we have this psychology of warfare that he wrote, the actual textbook that they would use at those days. And he taught at different universities. Eventually, Johns Hopkins is where he ended up. Do you remember, Whitney, there's something about John F. Kennedy, I think you were saying about him earlier to us when we were talking about this.
Yeah, he was an advisory to the president, many presidents, actually, I think.
Yeah, so he would be there. I know he was there for the Cuban Missile Crisis, talking about the psychology of what was going on with John F. Kennedy. The interesting thing is nobody knew that he wrote science fiction. He kept that a secret, and people didn't know who Cordwainer Smith was. And he passed away at an early age, at 53, of a heart attack. I think it was 1966 approximately. And only after his death did people find out that he was Cordwainer Smith. So this was kind of a secret outlet for him. One other thing that we haven't talked about that I found very interesting is there is a psychologist, I believe, or psychiatrist, who had a patient that he didn't identify who it was, who said he was a very famous U.S. military personnel who imagined himself in a science fiction world of his own creating. And there's a lot of people who think that might have been Cordwainer Smith as well. So another interesting tidbit. But that brings us to the science fiction writer. He wrote stories and one novel. The one novel came out, though, in two parts. And Whitney, I think you had one of the parts there when it came out. The Planet Buyer.
Yep. This one was nominated for a Hugo, which is how I got a hold of it, not realizing that it's the first half of Norstrilia.
And Norstrilia, the second half, we were looking it up. There's sort of different names for it, so we're not sure exactly what it is. Let's see here. I have it here. The Planet Buyer was also known as the boy who bought Old Earth in 1964, and the Under People was 1968. We'll get into who the Under People are for this universe.
Do you guys?
Yeah.
Can I jump in?
Go on,
So
Pat.
I'm curious. So in that case, the book you have, Whitney, does not start the same way in Australia. It does not start with that prologue.
It does.
It does. Okay.
Do we know where the cutoff is as well between the two?
We do. We're going to talk about that
Okay,
also.
good. Yeah.
I would also like to interject that I think it's worth it to know and to say that because Cordwainer Smith wrote so many short stories, and also because his novel and then what has been in multiple pieces, it's worth saying that all of these take place, I think all of them are in the same universe.
Just about all. We were just talking about this earlier too. I have something called the Nesfa Press, The Rediscovery of Man, where they collected all of his short fiction. And there's maybe about 5 or 6 stories that are not in the Instrumentality of Mankind, but all the rest are. So if you had this book, or these are considered the best of, if you want just the Rediscovery of Mankind.
Ask about this.
Yeah. This is the best of these stories from here.
Right.
Then you have that with Norstrilia. You basically have all of his work.
And you, Richard, you have read quite a few of his short stories, correct?
I have. I've read some of the very famous ones.
Okay. So my question is, because I've heard from few people that his short stories may be better than the one book that he wrote, which is, would you agree with that? Was my question.
I think, yes, they're more accessible. And as we'll talk about in the novel, there's a lot of different side trips that we take in the novel. They go to some of the places that the stories did, but the stories are more tightly plotted as a story itself. And that's where I think that they'll be more accessible to people. Very famous ones might be like Scanners Live in Vain, The Game of Rat and Dragon. And the one that is actually applicable to the novel we just read is The Ballad of Lost Camel.
I read Scanners Live in Vain.
Yeah. It's a bit of a harsh story, isn't it?
I'm surprised because it was his publishing of that particular short story. Nobody had heard of him. Nobody saw anything. And it wasn't very popular until it just kept getting pulled by lots of other anthologies. I guess there's something about it that led it to a lot of people's curiosity. And because it kept getting hits, that's when he decided maybe I'll publish some more.
Okay. So the only one I read, or I should say listened to, our 5th buddy reader on this buddy read, Dale, was nice enough to send, it's like 1 hour on YouTube video, well read. You can look it up. And The Ballad of Camel was the one that and I thought that was great. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I listened to it and I liked how it was very concise. One idea, well executed. We'll get into this book a little bit, the pros and the cons, but there is definitely more than one idea here.
Yeah, could say that. I'm thinking of reading The Rediscovery of Man in December, actually. While this is still fresh, because it's quite a complicated world. So I feel like my crappy brain needs to read it quite soon.
Does anyone want to try to just briefly say what the Instrumentality of Mankind is, and then what the Rediscovery of Man is? If not, I can come in, but
feel free.
Do you think we should? Okay, I don't know. I don't know how to. You have at it, Richard.
Sure. This is a universe. It's more of a future history that Cordwainer Smith imagines. And this future history is a utopia that comes out of the ashes of a war here on Earth that has gone nuclear. And that future history is called the Instrumentality of Mankind. It's like a government of sorts that is seen to be a utopia that takes all the cares of people. It gives them longer lives. They don't have to worry about things. They have something called under people, which are basically uplifted animals to human status that are their servants, the people who do the hard work of the society. but they discover utopia, it starts to become mundane, that life doesn't seem to have meaning and purpose. And so the rediscovery of man is the introduction again of hardships and struggles, because there's meaning in that and limiting lifespans. So we're at that point in the history in Norstrilia where you have this utopia, but you have this change. And along with the struggles that are brought into play is also the looking at the rights of the under people, that they have rights that should be on par with regular people, I guess I would just say. So that in short form is how I would term those. Before I'm going to get to a question where I want to sort of have your initial thoughts as you're reading this novel. It was brand new to all of us here, but I just want to say hi to a number of people who are with us here. Earlier, Chris was just commenting about when our album was going to drop. And I just said it's a live album any minute now. We have Captain Finity with his cup of coffee has joined us.
Is it not tea drinker?
Pardon me?
Is it not tea drinker?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. He'll have to answer us. And this is Deb from Australia. Norstrilia is a short form, I believe, created by Cordwainer Smith to refer to North Australia. We'll get into that. And we have Casper in the Netherlands has joined us. Mm-hmm. Is he on the same time as you? No, he would be at least an hour or two later. He's staying up pretty late, isn't he?
I think it's 2 hours probably.
Yeah, if people don't know, Sam is in Iceland, so he's on a little bit of a late night here as well. Argentina, Sergio, welcome. Rosario.
So cosmopolitan. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is amazing. Jack is with us. Welcome, Jack. And our goblin has come in. Perfect name for this time of year.
Gotta have a goblin.
Yeah. This time it's coffee for Captain Finity. And omnivorous reader has read it. So we could potentially get some great comments from Deb. 11 p.m.
Okay.
1 hour. 1 hour difference, right?
Yeah, just one. Yeah.
Oh, and look at here. We got Carrie from New Zealand has joined us as well. What a great crew.
What time is in New Zealand?
It's tomorrow in New Zealand.
It's tomorrow. It's the future.
All right. I think it's actually the other way around because they're to the west of us. So that would mean it's earlier. I think it's probably in the afternoon over there.
Yeah. Oh. That's what I was going to say.
So it's nearly yesterday for me.
Yeah. Maybe in Russia, it might be the future. Depends where that dateline is. I can't remember exactly. All right. So welcome, everyone. I'll just say it's 11:14 a.m.
So it's tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So I am wrong. Thank you, Carrie. So as I was saying, this is a brand new read for all of us. I've read a few of the stories, and I had recommended that maybe they wanted to look at The Lost Ballad of Kamel. It was in that book that Bart was showing too. And I know Whitney had picked up Scanners, the Scanners story too. And she has a best of, so there's more stories there for her. I'm just curious, what was...
Hold up your Kindle, Sam. Hold up.
It's in the bedroom, unfortunately.
So I'm just curious, as you first started getting into this novel, we took 5 days to read it, I believe it was. What were your thoughts as you're getting into this, not having read a lot of Cordwainer Smith? Maybe we'll start with Whitney and go around to Sam and then Bart, and then back to me.
I mean, honestly, I think that anyone who doesn't know what they're getting into and picks it up is going to say, this is crazy. I mean, it's definitely, it starts off from the very beginning, and you recognize that it's a very intelligent prose, but it's all over the place, and it's very absurdist, and like I was just like I was unprepared for this, like wholeheartedly unprepared.
Yeah,
Sam.
same. I mean, the thing that struck me immediately was the prologue was so beautifully written, and it does this device. I mean, I'm not well read in Shakespeare, but Whitney pointed that it was quite Shakespearean in the way that it spoils the book for you. It tells you what's going to happen, but because it uses so much jargon from the world, we don't really know what any of it means, apart from the fact that a boy buys the world, which is already buys the earth, which is already a pretty interesting concept. So that's like immediately got me drawn in. I was like, this is very different. And then it goes in a completely, it goes from the start, and I had no idea what was going on, but in a fun way. It was very kind of intriguing, very different, very like exciting. I did think I preferred the writing in the prologue because it was kind of like sing-song is the words I used, but the prose was still very good and very unique and distinct. So I was like, I was enjoying it and just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah. Is it my turn? I thought you wanted to say something, Richard, because you grabbed the book.
Well, when he was talking about the prologue, I was thinking I would just show that's the first part of the prologue, and I can in fact read it to you. And then the second part is not much longer. It's into the next page. But the prologue says, the story is simple. There was a boy who bought the planet Earth. We know that to our cost. It only happened once, and we have taken pains that it will never happen again. He came to Earth, got what he wanted, and got away alive in a series of very remarkable adventures. That's the story.
Yeah.
But even later, I think it's the last part of the prologue before the story proper. It lists the events that happen. But like I said, we don't really know what any of it means. But it was fun to read that back once I'd finished the book and like, oh yeah, now I understand everything. But it's just a fun way to open the story.
And I found that it was a very circular story in some ways, not in every way. We discussed a little bit, at least Bart and I did, about Stephen King's The Dark Tower. It's not so immediately identifiable as a full circle, and we won't spoil why that's a full circle. But this one here, what it says in the prologue is what really happens. But there's also a very poignant piece at the end that, once again, I don't think we'll spoil it for Norstrilia either, but that really poignant small scene brings back some gravitas to what it says in the beginning.
Yeah. So my initial reactions when I started reading the book was excitement, because we had a buddy read that we did, like we said, not that long ago. We read Ian, which was a good book, but I think overall the consensus was that it was a bit of a letdown. For sure, there were things that didn't work in that book, and it was a much longer book. And as soon as I started reading Norstrilia, I knew I was in for a different type of reading experience because of the prose. Sam mentioned the prose. I instantly was just like, ooh, this is awesome. Whitney mentioned absurdist humor. That doesn't always work for me, but I also sensed it very early on that it's there, and I accepted it, and I really enjoyed it. So I really liked this read. It's a weird book, but in a very positive sense for me. It was an unusual reading experience, but again, in a positive sense overall. Those things can really, like, you're on a fine line when you're doing that tight walk, and I could fall off very easily, but no, the book kept me happy throughout. So I really enjoyed it. The weirdness of the world building, I thought was interesting. This is one book where with Ian, I almost feel like it would have been better if it was a little bit shorter. Here, there were several concepts that I wish were explored a little bit more. There's a dystopian, for example, feel to the world, and we get these hints thrown at us that are really interesting, but they're not much more than hints. I really don't have a proper sense of how people function in this world, as an example. But I'm going on a bit maybe too far. Overall, from the beginning of the reading experience, I was hooked. Yeah.
For myself,
one more thing, because I thought about it as you were introducing Cordwainer Smith. I'm just impressed that a guy who was so accomplished in other fields kind of did this as a side hustle, what we would call maybe a side hustle today. This was writing books like this for him. That's amazing. Someone who had, other occupations of note.
I'm going to just check in on our viewers here, and then I want to ask you guys a question based on the beginning. I think that those are good. That's a good insight for most people who haven't read perhaps Cordwainer Smith. Captain Infinity is straightening me out here. New Zealand here, so they're the east of the Far East for us. So they are the future.
Also it is Friday.
And because of the southern hemisphere, right? It's spring over there. Kerry has read his stories first. Haven't read the novel for ages. 2 books that were published. Yeah. Whitney and I were talking about this before we even came on air, and we're just going, we think that the publisher must have forced him into doing that, or perhaps he hadn't finished it and they were trying to rush something out there for him. I agree, user unfriendly. I think he does reread somewhat like Zelazny, and that rereads always just bring out more, and you appreciate his prose, as we were talking about, more and more. I almost felt like rereading it as soon as I finished it. Oh, interesting. Have any of you read Ted Chiang?
Yeah.
It's the Arrival was based on his short story, The Story of Our Lives, or something like that.
That's great.
Yeah. One of the things that I thought of, though, and this is because this group here had recommended that I should get into reading culture novels by Ian M. Banks. And immediately I was just thinking of the universe. I've only read one, and Player of Games. And I was introduced to the universe that all of his stories and novels are in his science fiction realm. Well, I guess not all of his, but there are many of his that are in here. Did the instrumentality of mankind make you at all think about the universe building that Ian M. Banks does?
No, but it was more especially the rediscovery of man part of it was more what reminded me of it. It was the last book that Bart, Whitney, and I read together.
Look to Windward.
I can actually hold up a book. Yay! That was very much kind of focused on this, at least at times. Anyway, where I'm guessing he maybe got the idea from him or was influenced by it. Because in this world, everyone has everything. They can do whatever they want, and kind of a boredom sets in, which is the same thing that happens in this world, right? On old Earth, where everyone has everything, and they start doing things to endanger themselves to make life more interesting. And Banks does that a lot in the culture world as well. So that's where I would see more of a parallel.
I would also just add in here, since we're talking about the subject here, this is also something that did appear before Cordwainer Smith in Childhood's End. It was also an idea that was really like put on thick in Childhood's End. So,
which is my next book, by the way.
I'm really excited to get to that.
Good.
It's a good one.
Yeah. And of course, universes, I mean, Foundation is out there, and there's lots of other people who created universes which they continued to tell stories in.
Yeah, I think the culture is just way more advanced technologically and way more widespread. And just a lot more technologically advanced as well. Yeah.
I also think that it feels to me like Cordwainer Smith has thought out a lot of like these little tiny details that I didn't get from Ian Banks' culture. And I remember I haven't read all of them yet, but, it seems like Banks was sort of writing to explore his book, and it's very expansive, whereas Cordwainer Smith's like already kind of started big, and then it kind of gets into these like little tiny details that makes it feel a little bit more like, I guess, closed in or possible maybe.
there's a timeline of 1500 to 2000 years, I believe it was. It might be even more extensive than that we get to see, because it was put together both by Cordwainer Smith and someone else who did a forward to a book. And we can see what the history was and where the stories fit into it. I don't know for the culture, because I just haven't read more than one book, if it has a wide expanse of history to it, or if it's more centered in a couple of centuries.
We don't actually know. It's not really talked about in the books, because the thing about the culture is it's so wide spanning that you can't, he never focuses on one area or one part of the world or the galaxy or whatever. So he takes that as his basis for doing these standalone stories. It's not about the whole culture as a whole. It's about finding pockets of interesting stories. So yeah, that's another big difference, I guess.
But there, in one of the books, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, in the book of short stories, State of the Art, there is a mention of kind of that kind of pinpoints in a way the timeline, I suppose, for us. But you're gonna have to get to that, Richard.
For us, yeah, but not for the culture as a whole,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We don't really know.
But I think we're always so human focused. We're thinking about from this moment on, where is it? Like when Richard is asking, he's thinking. So there's something very interesting, I think, when you get to it in that book.
While Whitney's looking that up, I'll just hit a few comments here. About Smith, his entire timeline covers a couple thousand years. Oddly, every novel and short story can be read alone without reference to his other works. That's what made me think of culture as well. That seems like that's sort of a format that's there.
Fair.
Here it is.
There's the timeline. Here, let me make Whitney a little bit bigger here.
I think it might be backwards, my stuff, because it's my camera.
Oh, I think it's the right way.
For me.
Yeah. So anyways, at the top left, it starts at about the year 2100, and it goes across to the right, and then in the middle, it goes across to the left, and then in the bottom part, it goes across again to the right there. And our story is on the bottom page, about close to the middle, right in there. Yes. Good job, Whitney.
I'm so good at this, right? Hired.
There we go. So that's sort of the location for this story. I was thinking perhaps we should talk a little bit about the first part of the novel in Norstrilia. I had already mentioned North Australia is what it's a short form for, but why are we on another planet? And tell us a little bit about this planet and the animals that they tend on this planet. Sam, do you want to start this time?
Sure. So it's, wow, there's so much to say, isn't there? It's a planet where I guess their main characteristic is that they breed these giant sheep. When I say giant, they grow up to 1,000 tons. So humongous. And
I think it was even 10,000
okay.
or 10,000 or 10,000. No, 10. Well, anyways,
really big. And
an
they
elephant
are
is like 1 ton, right?
Yeah, more than 1 ton.
Yeah. And they are sick, and they only get this certain sickness on this planet. There's something to do. It's not really explained why, but they only get sick on this planet. And a product of their sickness is something called Stroon, which makes you live forever, basically. As long as you take Stroon, you can keep living. So that is their main export. And obviously, that is a very desirable for everybody, or most people. And so they're extremely rich. But they have very strict rules for themselves. They want to be as traditional as possible, back to the old ways of the Commonwealth or the Empire, the British Empire, and they still follow the old Queen Elizabeth II. And they're just very strict with themselves, strict with their rules of who can come in and who can leave. And they live a very simple life of basically just being farmers. and I'll let someone else fill in some more details, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting part about, not interesting, the one part that's part of this world, just to fill in the world building, maybe for me, that didn't really work for me was the telepathic abilities that people on this planet apparently have. I'm personally not huge on that. There's a lot of older science fiction books that do include, sometimes specifically focus on this ability for people to merge telepathically or otherwise. And some books I did enjoy. Theodore Sturgeon's difficult to read, but I thought profound book, More Than Human, is a example for me that worked. But usually I'm not interested in that. So this was one part that I was just like, okay, yes, they can talk to each other without actually speaking. And I thought it was gimmicky, the difference in, in how it was written. I didn't love that. And there's just a bit too much of it. But that's a big part of this world. And our protagonist, for him, unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately in the end, does not have that ability. So he is handicapped in a sense. And also on this planet, this could mean that you will be killed. So that's something that comes up. Do you want to take the baton, Whitney, and the story?
Can I just explain a little bit about that? Because I think Whitney might like to talk about some of the finance things that are on that planet too. Our protagonist's name is Rod McBann, and he is part of a family that has been there since the beginning of Norstrilia. And this is a limited planet in terms of its resources. It's a gray-looking planet with grass, and then these enormous sheep and other creatures that have grown to enormous sizes as well. Because it's a planet that has a limited space, and these farms are, hundreds of generations old in terms of the families, they have to limit their population. And that is through sort of a series of tests of maturing a childhood that takes 16 years to develop. And Rod, being handicapped in telepathy, goes through 5 childhoods because they're trying to preserve this line under him instead of a cousin or something else. And that's where we're joining in on here as he is finishing that up. But there's very interesting things. I'm going to toss this to Whitney here. There's very interesting things financially too about what they should decide to do, because they're all the wealthiest people in the universe based on the selling of strewn.
Oh, Richard, you set me up hard.
I did, but you talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah, I did. So I'm like really entertained by this idea that in order to stay simple and in order to not let money corrupt, these really incredibly rich farmers of Norstrilia essentially tax themselves into poverty. So they have like what is it? Like it's a 20 million% tax on everything. So that way, like buying a handkerchief costs like the same price as buying a planet, is what they use an example of. And I really was entertained by this idea because for somebody who is as smart as Cordwainer Smith, I feel like he has all of these little jibes towards governments and the ridiculous way that they run. And I feel like this one was one of them, and it just entertained me quite a lot. So.
Well, Smith is absurdist. He has very interesting analogies that you can build out of it. And because he's a psychologist, he makes some very interesting observations about people and the psychology of people. And so every once in a while you're going, oh, this is going a little bit too far. And then all of a sudden you're just brought back in by this amazing line or this amazing idea that he has.
Yeah. There were quite a lot of amazing lines in this book. A lot.
So I have a question, guys, because I just realized something that I just totally went over my head, I think. I was, okay, so I started reading this book when I was on a couple of hours of sleep on a plane. I read a good chunk of the book. Did I totally miss, did I explain, how did he have 5 childhoods? Like, what, did I kill him? And what was happening to him? Did I miss that? Was it explained? Or
yeah, it was explained.
Please explain to me if you can in a few.
Sure. So basically, the idea here is that because he's handicapped, because he doesn't have the telepathy like other folks, the idea at the beginning of the book is that Nostrilia's people hold themselves up to a very high standard. And it's not just telepathy, it's everything. They have to be like able to fight, and they have to be very strategic, and they have to be the best of the best of the best, because everyone's out for their money, right? So essentially, he gets tested, and in order to pass, he has to meet the standards of lots of different things. And essentially, because he was never able to complete the telepathic portion, he was allowed to restart a certain number of times.
No, I get that, but what did they do? What does that mean?
So pretty much it sounds like they went back and put him into a smaller body. They erased his memories and let him start afresh all over again.
So I missed that.
Yeah, it does say that. It did say that he had like vague memories of some previous lives, like he remembered certain people and stuff like that, but it didn't really dive very deep into it. Very short book. There's lots of details that were left to your imagination, I suppose. But
my question is that common practice? I can't remember if that's common practice on that world to do it that many times.
Well, so remember, any heir is allowed to be rewound up to 4 times.
Because if we consider what happened at the end.
Yep. But they're allowed to be rewound for 4 times.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Now, what happened is if they had brothers or sisters or other people in their family, only one of them could go on for this population control. And so the ones who didn't succeed were given, they called it the giggle death. It sounds like they were basically anesthetized with a laughing gas / poison. And so they literally were laughing to their death, entertained to their death, which provides a very sad picture to some events here in this book, which also become our protagonist thinking about himself given these extra chances to succeed over others in his family who passed away in this way.
If I remember the place where it happened, it's called the Giggle Room. The Giggle Room. And that's such a creepy idea. I suppose if you have to die anyway, might as well die laughing. But I thought it was extremely interesting and creepy to call, that the juxtaposition of ideas, laughter, giggle room, some childish, with
remember,
are killed.
I'm sorry, Bart, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say, adding on to what you're saying, though, remember that Cordwainer Smith is a psychologist, and he's coming fresh out of World War II, where they did gas chambers for the Jews. So this had to have been like present on his mind. And then for him to say, oh, yes, they're still gas or they're still poisoned, they're just laughing about it. That had to have been like a really just intense juxtaposition of ideas for him, especially at this time.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. But yes, that's such an image. A few years ago, I was in Poland, in Auschwitz, Birkenau, and they do have Germans, when they were already losing, they blew up most of the gas chambers, but there are still some that you can visit, and you get to walk through, and you're walking the same steps as, and not just Jews, obviously 6 million Jews. So, but there were so many other people who have died in those gas chambers, and it's so affecting. I had my kids with me, and we were just like holding hands, and I still have, like, I get chills right now just thinking and talking about it. So for him to perhaps experience or see some of the atrocities of World War II, and then put this on paper in this way is very interesting. And yeah, I didn't think about that. Thank you, Whitney.
I think I'm just going to go to a few comments and then we'll move on here. User Unfriendly says, for Clark, City in the Stars might be an even better sort of analogy with the utopia there, and mind control and endless reborn clones. I think I might agree too. Both of them do have points there. There's a lot of things I think that Cordwainer Smith brought into his fiction that were from some of the other authors of that day. But one of the things here, before I get on to here, one of the things that we discussed as well is there seems to be another famous novel from the 1960s that came out that reminded us of as well.
Richard, could you elaborate on that?
Before we do that, you guys, before
Richard.
we have to finish up our spoiler-free section, because if we get into that, we're going to get into spoilers.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Let me go on to some comments here. There's some comments about different stories that they loved. And Goblin mentions telepathy is a huge fallback that, now that you mention it, is way overused. I think it was by accident, but Whitney, do you remember what you called it?
Yeah, I was trying to say telepathy and I said telepathetic instead.
I love it. It is telepathetic, actually.
I can't help but think of that term now when someone talks about it being used too much. Telepathetic.
I was very passionate about it at the time.
It's a telepathetic trope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Schmidt series with Telsey series, definitely a lot of telepathy in there.
Mm-hmm.
The erased memories, that would be for the next childhood of Rod McMahon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should just talk a little bit about how we need to talk about going to Earth, and we need to talk about Kamel and those. Do you think there's a point where we should just say, take a halftime, and then after that we'll just continue with the rest of the novel? Is that what you're thinking, or what can we say right now for those who don't want to have any spoilers?
For no spoilers, I think we should just say whether we liked it or not, and whether you would or would not recommend.
Okay, fair enough. Who would like to start?
Not me.
It's my channel. This time we're going to go with Bart to start, then Whitney, and then Sam, then myself.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. There was not, it was a fairly short read, 5 days. We finished it. And I was not bored at any moment. There was a ton of ideas, which I really appreciated. Not all of them are fully developed, half-assed in some cases. But overall, I thought it was such an enjoyable book. There is a certain lightness to it almost. I liked reading this book. I liked the author even. I felt like he was a good guy. For some strange reason, I kept thinking, he's a good guy. I'd like to talk to this author. Not always the case reading science fiction. Again, I don't want to hark back to Ian, but I was not necessarily thinking I couldn't wait to speak to Greg about some of the stuff that he put in his book. So this was a very positive reading experience. It's not going to be an all-time favorite for me, and I don't think it's going to be an all-time favorite for most people. But I think it's a great example of science fiction. Also, if you're looking for hard SF, this is not hard SF necessarily. It borders on just fantasy and things that are just kind of left unexplained, and there may be angel-like creatures that show up, things like that. And there is a mix of genres almost. There's humor at times, and then it's serious at other times. All in all, I strongly recommend it. For me, it's like a 4.5 kind of a read. Good stuff. Excellent prose with some nice literary flares, touches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whitney.
Okay, so I have to say that I was a little afraid when I first started this book. While the intro is interesting, those first couple of chapters are just sort of all over the place. And it almost feels like a lucid dream strung together, like things that don't really make sense. And you just pretend like they make sense together anyway. I don't love absurdism. However, the book definitely converted me by the end. And based off of how many cool quotes, all the really, really interesting ideas. If you take history into context, this book almost takes on a whole nother meaning. And I felt like it was a really incredible last section. I'd say the last maybe third or fourth of the book really converted me. That's what earned the 4th star for me. And that's 4 out of 5. I would recommend it just so you get the idea of what sci-fi can become without borders. This is so unlike anything else I've ever read, and I think that's very good for me. So,
Sam.
So I tended to be the more negative in the buddy read, right? I was the one who complained a little bit, but I did like the book. I did like it. It was like, it's never going to be an all-timer for me either. I would not recommend this to somebody who's new to sci-fi. I would not recommend. I'd recommend this to someone who is interested in the genre and has read quite a lot of books, because it just does things a lot differently, and it explores a lot of different things. Very unique voice. So if you're interested in finding those kind of unique voices, then I would highly recommend it, because he really did just write something very different to me. I've not read anything else like it. When we talk about absurdism, obviously the one that comes up is Hitchhikers, but it's a different kind of absurdism. It's not humor-based absurdism. It has humor in it, but it doesn't take the absurdism in the direction of humor. It's more like the storytelling and what happens and the world itself that is a bit absurd. And for me, my problems with it were I didn't really care about the story. It was a bit plodding, and like Whitney said, it was kind of all over the place. I didn't like the characters. I thought they were very flat. So I didn't really care what happened to them. And the themes, it was kind of a mixture. There's so much thematic work, which I love. I love like themes explored within books, but there was like too many. They were all just like, in a way, kind of like Eon. It was like, they just throw everything at the wall, but with that, it was plot rather than theme. So this is just a personal preference. I would have liked it if he'd taken 2 or 3 of those themes and explored them more deeply. So it was good. It was unique. It was really fascinating reading experience. But for my personal preference, it didn't like catch me emotionally or anything like this. So good book. And I'm really interested in reading his short story collection now, because he is a fantastic writer.
I came into this at a bit of advantage because I had read some of Cordwainer Smith's stories. Not a lot, probably about 5 or 6 maybe. And I also, as I was doing research before we started, I saw that the Ballad of Lost Camel, that's a C with Mel behind it, meaning a cat person that has been uplifted. That story plays into this novel quite a bit. And while we were reading this, and this Norstrilia was coming to life, and we were starting to see the problems in their society and the choices that they had made to keep their society simple yet rough, a struggle. When he has to go to Earth, and we'll talk about that more after a bit of a break in the middle here. When he goes to Earth, that's where he connects with the under people. And the under people part of it really sang to me. I was completely in once Kamel was in the picture, and the story of the under people starts to unfold. And we see another connection basically to civil rights from the 60s and even more. And we'll talk about that. But for me, at that point, probably about, a third to a half of the way in, I was set and really enjoyed it. And we'll talk about potentially about a couple endings as well, that the novel finishes in different ways, a couple different ways. And I was solidly there for each of those ways as well. So if you are a person who has, my recommendation would be to read some of the short stories ahead of time, because Norstrilia really touches on different parts of that instrumentality of mankind history and just little references. The Alpha Ralpha Boulevard is one of his stories, and they do refer to that spiral boulevard in the story. And I hadn't even talked about that with my friends here. So it gives you a bit of a chance to understand his universe going into it, and you start to say, oh, there's connections here and here. It's like this is his magnum opus of the instrumentality of mankind. Unfortunately, because of his early passing, it is. So I heartily recommend it. if you can get a couple of short stories in ahead of time, that's great. The copy you held up, Bart, I believe it included the story, did it, for the Ballad of Lost Camel? I think it says it right on the top of the title page there.
Included, yep.
Yeah. So that copy there, if you get something like that one, it would have that story there. Let's hit a few comments, and then maybe I have 3 covers I can play, name that cover with you guys, and then we can go into the second half. So this will be our little intermission here. I'm going to go to our buddy reader.
Hey,
Dale is with us. And he
Dale.
gave it a 9 out of 10. He said it was a fantastic read. Not so much of a candy read, but more of a unique, interesting read. Yeah. I sometimes call those popcorn reads. It's definitely not a popcorn read, but it's not super, I don't know what I should say. It's not university language type literature here. It's very accessible and very interesting.
However, there is quite a lot of poetry.
Yes,
a lot.
Which can put some people off.
Yeah, poetry. And to me, it was highly quotable also. There were a lot of, in the silliness, you're reading stuff that just is silly, absurdist. And then there's something that really grabs you, and it's profound, actually. So I found that jarring at times, uneven, I suppose, a read, but very unique. I think, to me, it's uniquely imaginative the way he wrote this. It doesn't always work. It's not perfect. But yeah, I think Dale is absolutely right. It's definitely more than a candy read. So, yeah.
Going back to a little bit about Paul Linebarger, he knew Sun Yat-sen. This is from China. In fact, was his godfather. This is one of the people of I don't know my Chinese history well enough, but back before World War II, the revolution that happened there. Carrie says Cordwainer Smith's work as a whole does represent the best in SF to him. Another person that I'm not aware of, but that he knew as well.
Never heard of this person.
No. Scanners Live in Vain. That's probably his first and most important story in terms of people finding Cordwainer Smith, and was seminal for User Unfriendly. And they keep talking about some of his other work here. I'm not sure what The Tainted Cup is.
That's the book that won the Hugos this year. It's a fantasy detective story.
Okay. And let's see here. Oh, here we go. Daisy, the young 300-ton sheep, from page 32 of his book, or her book. Excuse me. This is Deb. This was the rabbit hole I went down. Good. Thank you for doing that. I could just imagine how large that is. I mean, what's an elephant? Just maybe a couple tons? This tiny little sheep head and this enormous body that was on. They had like platforms that they rolled it on too with heavy machinery or something like that.
I have to say that I had no clue what I was getting myself into, but this cover is terribly misleading. Like, this gave me a completely different vibes.
I wanted to ask you guys about your covers, because we all have different covers.
Yeah.
What is this?
And it's fun to talk about it. Like, this cover is the sparrow, and this guy, and so we know this.
That's not the sparrow.
The
sparrow had like a long beak. They said.
Yeah.
But look at the person, and look at how big the sparrow is.
The perspective.
Life size right there. Life size.
That actually makes more sense than any of our other covers.
Yeah.
This one here just looks like a cowboy on a
wild west, but being like
a dusty place. I mean, this
what
place had gray
because
grass. It didn't have sand like that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
The covers are perplexing. Well, I think perhaps, I have to say, the cover, Richard, that you used for the thumbnail, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kamel is on that cover. We have what's his Itali Kelly is in the back with right?
Yeah,
cover makes sense.
Here, let's see if I can find it here.
Bart, is your cover supposed to be a ram skull? Is it supposed to be one of the sheep?
sheep. Yeah, but it's kind of like, I don't
It
know.
looks evil. Yeah.
Like a skeleton.
Electric sheep or electric ram kind of a cover. It looks, I don't know, doesn't really
looks
make sense with
scary.
anything that's in the book.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Oh, I'm having a hard time finding it, but in the thumbnail for this is the orange cover. That's the first printing of Norstrilia, not as two novels, but as one complete novel, the way Cordwainer Smith had intended it to be.
That one makes sense.
Yeah. Someone else had a hard
Oh.
time reading Greg Bear as well. His fantasy novels are difficult. I haven't read any of his fantasy novels. I'm not sure how you would count 300-ton sheeps if you're trying to fall asleep. Usually prefer novels to short stories, but Smith's short stories seemed more essential to carry.
I would probably agree with that.
Andre Norton did a lot with telepathy, similar to the Tells These Stories by Schmidt.
Yep, she did.
Yeah. And she liked Schmidt better.
The only time, if I can say, the only time telepathy worked for me in a book, really, really worked, was Fire Up on the Deep. And it was the Tynes who were that idea was excellent. How I was reading it and slowly realizing what the heck is actually going on. I thought that was brilliantly done. Didn't mind it there, but it's a bit of a different idea.
Yeah, I quite liked it.
It's a different thing.
I
quite liked it in Dying Inside. I thought that was
I haven't read Dying Inside.
That was done quite well.
I would also say, Bart, it was done in Solaris in a just different way.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
At a planetary level.
And it didn't work for me either.
Dale had said that he's going to be reading his short stories and explore his world more soon. So has Sam. Sam has mentioned that. And I have my book out because I want to read a few as well.
Oh, definitely.
H. Beam Piper. I haven't read H. Beam Piper, but I'm guessing that's who User Unfriendly is referring to here.
I don't know. If so, get the little fuzzies. That's essential, and it's so good.
Stories in Quest of the Three Worlds. Brace yourself. Oh, I think that's Smith as well, right? I think that came out in the later 60s. Television and all the mindless slop that it became has only widely enjoyed since the 1950s. Before that, regular authors had to churn out that slop. I'm not going to call this slop, though. I think this is on a different level. Let's see here. Oh, here's for size-wise. Blue whales are the largest animal on Earth, weighing as much as 200 tons, approximately 33 elephants. And I think we said this was 300 tons for the sheep.
So it's only 2/3 of a sheep.
Hey, Andrea, the band is here. This is our live album.
Shotgun bass, by the way.
Oh.
Yes, Sam really can play. I don't know about you other folks here. If you're,
I played little bass. That's about it.
Okay.
It's taken, man. It's taken.
I know.
All right. And Nev has joined us here. Welcome,
hey,
Nev.
Speaking of the other side of the world as well.
Yeah, that's Australia, I believe, is where Nev is. Anything but metric. All right. I think it's time to play Guess That Cover. We have we've got about 15 or so people in the live right now, and we have you guys. So I'll ask you to sort of take a beat just in case some of the people on the comments here want to add or put a guess in. But I think I'll know by the expression on your face whether you recognize what this is. I found some covers that had more of a wraparound image, and I was able to find the image online that is more that wraparound. So, maybe we should introduce our guest because I know that some people are really interested in names of pets.
Oh, this is Andy for Indiana Jones. He's quite an adventure.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there's our first one.
I know.
Yeah,
I think I know too.
Okay.
I have two guesses.
Let's see if people here online, if who's the fastest typer, or I figured this one probably would be one that most people might recognize.
I
Or
read
at
this
least-
with Chris from Liminal Spaces.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I think early at the beginning of the year, maybe.
And I think obviously it shows you
Robin.
a lot of story in the
This
picture
one
itself too.
actually represents the book.
Yes.
Yeah. We have a guest that I'm not sure if it's if he's serious about it or just making a joke, because isn't that
Gene Wolfe.
Shadow? Yeah, Gene Wolfe.
That's incorrect.
That's incorrect. That's
I think it's a fair guess.
It is
Yeah.
a fair
Oh, yeah?
guess. Mm-hmm.
tell me about how it's a fair guess. Okay.
It's
Because I
a,
haven't read it, so that's why I was asking.
it's a fair guess because Shadow of the Torturer deals with all of the things that you're seeing in this
Okay.
cover.
Okay. Sorry, user unfriendly, if I maligned you there. So Nev is right.
Good
It
old
is
Nev.
a
Good old
canticle for Leibowitz. There we go. User unfriendly is in there too. A great novel by Miller Jr.
This
Actually,
wraparound
a
cover is really
novel
nice.
of 3 novellas. Pardon me?
I just want to say that seeing this wraparound cover open up like this is really nice. I feel
Yeah.
like the book I had has the priest, but doesn't have the complete picture. It's a little different than this.
Yeah.
So that's great.
I grabbed it because I was trying to grab images of books that I actually had. I did something about the 10 best covers that I had, and so the image is actually on the back here
Okay.
too.
Maybe I just didn't remember.
Yeah, but there's a lot of different images. This is not one of the first images that they used for the book itself. I actually, it's a little side story. I visited a place called John K. King used bookstores in Detroit, Michigan, and in there, they told me that they had this rare objects room, and they said I could come in and see it. I talked to them a little bit about my channel, and in there, I actually have somewhere a picture of me holding the first edition of A Canticle for Leibowitz.
Nice.
A little too pricey for me at that time.
How
Going into
much?
4 figures, United States.
Whoa.
A little over $1,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Signed?
No.
Mm.
I saw a Richard Matheson book signed. It was about his scripts for the Twilight Zone show. Once again, a little bit too pricey for me. All right. So that was number 1. Here comes number 2. Oh,
Whitney getting some help.
they want that cover back up.
No.
No.
Oh, I know this.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Carrie says it's a pity we can't post images in the chat. It would be very fun to have, maybe I should just ask my listeners to submit some pictures and just have an episode once of live where we just have viewers.
That is a
That would
good
be
show.
fun.
Yeah. Well, you gave me a good idea there, Carrie.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Oh, Dale has it.
Go on, Dale.
Yeah.
Sea of Rust.
High five.
Yeah. Here, I'll just
I haven't read it, but I have the book.
this is a spectacular find online to see it because it's severely cropped in my image.
Yeah.
Basically, you just have the hand, and it's even moved over a little bit, like it's adapted a little bit. It's moved over into that sun image, and the sun image is made larger, but it does wrap around with that. It's Sea of Rust by C. Robert Cargill. Here, I'm just going to take that out, and you can see a little bit better here on this copy. And this is a fairly recent one. I think it's from maybe 10 years ago or so. And it has a very good sequel that I talked about before called Day Zero. That was the one that had a robotic tiger nanny bot for a boy as the robot uprising happened. This one is 2017.
Oh.
Last one. I have a lot of hope for my people here that they probably will know this one. This next one is one I haven't read, but I do intend to.
Oh,
We know.
Do you know? Okay.
I haven't read it, but I know what it is.
Okay.
Sam, you haven't read it? What?
I thought you knew that.
Oh, I tried to get you a copy of that so hard. You've no idea.
Oh.
From the previous one, somebody said it's way too recent for me. They, I do vintage SF, so I guess I'm a little out of my track here.
What's really interesting is the original cover of this.
Ah,
Yeah, it's kind of
Very
kind of wrong.
controversial.
Yeah, it's wrong.
yeah.
It's wrong.
It's not Kindred or Parable of the Sower. Dale is in for the win. 2 out of 3, I think, for Dale.
Dale is
Dawn.
on it.
I meant the cover was wrong. I meant the cover that the Whitney's
I know.
referring to.
Yeah.
I had to try and get rid of this so that it didn't give the answer out. But it does come to the back, then it's covered over there. The design of it as well.
Which
It's
is
one
the
of my-
original one?
It is one of my all-time favorite books. I can find it for you, but I don't know. Am I allowed to upload?
You
the
are?
record?
Yeah, if you have an image of it, you can upload it. Just let me know when you have, and I can pull it.
I want to see what Bart thinks is wrong.
Oh, we all think it's wrong. It's very well known to be wrong. Okay, I'm uploading it now. Here, let me take this image. Do you? Let me just go like that. Okay.
Here you're gonna.
All right, here we are. Is it uploading now? How do I put it in here?
So there's a plus sign on a computer or something like that.
Oh, yes. Okay, I see.
You go there, and then you have to find it on your computer. Here, you get to see how live shows are made.
Yay! So exciting.
Once again, too recent for me from Nev.
Yeah. That's fair. Although it's not as recent as you think.
No.
What is the date on that one?
Let's see the date for the publication of Dawn, which is the first of a trilogy, correct?
Yes, although the trilogy is
1987.
Lilith's Brood.
Yep.
It's the trilogy.
Okay, it says it doesn't like the WBP file.
Oh,
So let me see if I can fix that. I'm sorry.
okay.
Bye, Nev.
Oh, Dale, someone's accusing you of cheating. He never saw these pictures. Actually, they never saw it either before I started here. I thought that I had, in the last time I did covers, I thought that some of my covers were too hard or too obscure. So I wanted to make sure that I got some that people knew today. Oh, I got it here. Oh,
All right, Sam, tell me what's wrong. Tell me what's wrong.
I got it.
I know you'll get it's real obvious.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, think about the author and her typical protagonists.
I'll show you this one and then this one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Is it? Are we talking about the pigmentation here?
Yes,
Yes.
that's correct. So
Okay.
they didn't think that a book would sell if they had a black protagonist on the cover. So they made all of the characters white in the original.
In 87.
In the novel too?
Huh?
Like, did they change the novel too? Inside? Like, no.
No, not inside, but
Just-
just like the pictures.
just the
Yeah.
advertising. Okay.
It's
Well-
only 38 years ago that happened. That's insane.
Yeah. That's 1987. Or it'd be I'm not sure if that's the hardcover or paperback version of it, but I'm sure it wasn't more than a year or so.
I wonder how Octavia felt about that when she found out that. I wonder if she, in any kind of sense, felt that, well, it's just business, or if she was really.
She has direct quotes that I have an entire video about on my channel.
And I did watch that video. I just don't remember, but
Yeah, same.
your video is incredible about Butler.
Thanks.
If anyone
That
hasn't
one
seen it.
is probably the hardest I've ever worked at a video ever. And it kind of flopped a little, but that's okay.
I haven't seen that, so I'll have to find it. And you know what? When I find it, I'll add it to the description here so that people, if they're looking for it, can find it.
Everyone
Too.
should check it out. I think it's. I think I watched your video on Octavia before I started reading Butler. I've read a few of her works now. Loved Kindred. Loved, obviously, Dawn. I think was the first one, and thanks to you, Whitney, and also maybe Joanna from Joanna Reads. We talked about it. But
And I
your
read Kindred
video
as well
was so
just
interesting.
recently.
Even if one has not read a lot of Butler, I think watching the video is recommended.
Yes.
And the original Kindred cover definitely was a young black woman on the cover. So it's kind of mystifying why 10 years later they would do that.
Well, I mean, Richard, with Kindred, it's going back to slavery time. So you could not put a white person on the cover and have white person go back and be a slave.
Yeah.
So, but they would have, if they could, they probably would have changed it as well.
Yeah. Well, and Dawn's definitely taking place in the future. Yeah, I don't know. I have so many thoughts about Octavia. She's an incredible author. And for those of you who don't know, my video has a bunch of quotes of her that I took directly from her interviews that are, she's the author that I would pay money to go to lunch with if that was an option. She's incredible.
Fascinating lady. She was really well spoken. Really
Maybe
smart.
when I read Dawn, we'll have to get back together again and chat a little bit.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah. How long ago approximately was that video when I'm looking for it?
I'll just send you the link. It's not a problem.
Great. Thank you. All right. We had some other people here who have been, let's see here. Nev has left us for work. We have Carrie's read some Butler. And Dale's laughing about the accusation of cheating. I'm not sure what this is referring to. Who published Whitney's? Oh, that might be are they talking about your...
Maybe they didn't mean the S or say who published the original cover. I don't know who that was. Which publisher did. I am very awful at publishers.
Digital Bookworm. If you're referring to her copy of Norstrilia, you can let me know. That's the one with the big bird on it there too, and she can take a look. Only Octavia I've read is really old. Can't remember her protagonist. Okay, being people of color. Clay's Ark, perhaps. I think that's a novel of hers there's like a series of 4 or 5 novels in another series, right?
Yes, Clay's Ark is one of her books, but it's a different series.
Yeah. Okay. Tunnel in the Sky audiobook. He's black as he should be. Tunnel in the Sky. That's referring to an older book, isn't it? I'm feeling like that's Heinlein.
I don't know. Tunnel in the Sky.
I think Tunnel in the Sky is Heinlein.
Yeah. Digital Worm was looking for the Butler book in terms of who had published it. So we don't have that right here right now, but I'm sure if you did a little search for that cover, you'd find out right away. Thank you. Something we said was insightful.
One in a row.
One in a row. Yeah.
And it was Heinlein. There we go.
Yep.
Now, we want to talk about some things that would consider potentially spoilers. I don't think we're going to go all the way to huge spoilers, but as we talk about why he goes to Earth, why he's going to purchase Earth, as you know already from the beginning, little prologue, there's some things that we're going to be revealing. So up to you whether you want to stick around or not. If not, you've heard our reviews, and I think we all agree that it's a worthwhile read. And some of us more than others. And I thank you for joining us here on VSF Live, Vintage Science Fiction Live. We'll be back again with another episode in a couple of months, potentially with this crew, but I know I'm also going to do one with my Dino-Vember group.
Are you breaking up the band, Richard, here?
Oh, I've joined another band too.
Yes, all the bands.
All right. So let's get back to Norstrilia. We left our protagonist having survived the giggle room, becoming a full member of their society. Maybe we should say something about this amazing action scene with a gigantic sparrow.
We had this scene, right?
Fun.
Yeah. Does anyone want to make some comments about that?
That for me is an example of it being absurdist, but not necessarily in a comedy way, right? I mean, I don't think the intention was necessarily comedy, although it was kind of funny. So it's an assassin sparrow. That is, it's a giant sparrow these things exist because the fleas on the sheep are also giant, and so they eat those fleas, but they can be trained to kill because they have super long, sharp beaks. And our protagonist has annoyed somebody who is high in power in Norstrilia. It's kind of like a childhood hatred that comes back when he ends up buying the earth. And he's called the Onsec. I can't exactly remember his role, but yeah, he tries to kill him with a killer.
He was the honorable secretary on sec.
Yes. But I don't know what that means in terms of day-to-day job.
Nobody does.
Bureaucrat.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
And to me, this was the best action scene in the book. The battle between Rod and this bird, which pretty much just about destroyed Rod.
Yeah,
I guess we should also go ahead.
I just want to say it was fun to read. It was unexpected. It's a perfect example of how this book at turns surprised me. Like, you could not predict what's going to happen next. There were quite a few surprises in this book, and this was one of them. So yeah, it was.
Does somebody want to talk about the architecture aliens who made architecture for people, and then Rod hid a computer inside something there? I think that is necessary if we're going to talk about why he bought Earth.
Maybe Whitney. I don't know if
I mean, I can definitely do that. I mean, how you want me to give like the whole details, like everything? Is that okay?
I think it's okay at this point, because we're still talking about something that's about a third of the way into the novel, not even halfway.
Okay.
Sorry, can I just quickly interrupt and say, I don't think this book is particularly spoiler sensitive in a way. I don't think spoilers are really going to affect your reading experience. So if anyone here is still a bit like, oh, maybe I'll be spoiled, I don't think it really matters.
It's the journey of the book.
Yeah, it's
the craziness.
Yeah. So I guess in discussing what you mentioned, Richard, we have to mention that I'm going to say the antagonist of our protagonist, or our nemesis, if you will, is going to be the Onsec. Turns out they were childhood friends. That's important backstory because essentially right after Rod is now a free person, he discovers that the Onsec who thought he was going to be killed is very upset that he has now made it. And the Onsec is someone who has a genetic predisposition to strewn and is not able to take it. So he's often called a shorty or a short lifer. So he's only going to get the bare minimum 150 years. Poor him, right? And so he's very jealous of everyone else, essentially, but especially Rod, who's going to get to live for a long time. Plus, he's the head of a family, so he's going to be very rich, and he holds a high level in their society. So being that he has worked really hard while Rod has done all these childhood adventures, he has decided that he is going to have it out for Rod and kind of backs him up into a corner. And the only way that Rod can see out is by using this super secret computer that he's not supposed to have in his man cave, right? Because everyone on a farm has a man cave full of a secret computer you're not supposed to have. Totally. So he goes to this computer that is an incredibly useful plot device. And this computer ends up hacking for him essentially all of the economy and all of the finances, essentially. And because of that, he is able to essentially short sell his future strewn sales so far ahead in the future, and using that money to then buy more and more and more. He ends up owning the universe, essentially.
Well, Earth, I think.
Not just Earth, but also owns, like, because I think they said multiple planets, even though that doesn't really end up holding a whole lot of value for him. And because he owns so many things, he becomes like the richest person in the universe that there ever could be. And that also makes him a incredible target for reasons unknown. Plot device. Okay.
And so to the people who are looking out for Rod, especially after this Sparrow attack, want him to go to Earth and to basically hide out on Earth. And the method of going to Earth, there's a variety of methods in terms of traveling through space. And the particular method that they use is a very interesting and vivid portion, small portion of the book as well. I'm not sure if I should say that one. Maybe we should just leave that one.
Maybe save that. But I will say, you asked earlier about the architects and the building. And I just wanted to say, because Whitney explained everything very well. But one thing I wanted to add to that was the computer is inside this house that was built by these. I do not remember the name of the.
Invisible.
They were so fascinating because they can basically build anything you ask for. So I think it was one of the ancestors of our protagonist who wanted, or somebody, I forget who it was, wanted a building that no one could see but him. So an invisible building to everybody else but him. And I thought it was an ingenious way of making that happen. They basically just built, wait a minute. They built a building that can only be seen in the ultraviolet, and they altered his eyesight so that he can see it in a wider bend than visible light. So no one else can see it, but he can. And I thought that was such a fun way of figuring out a way for this person to see the building, but no one else can. And because this is his ancestor, our protagonist's ancestor, he can also see the building, and that's where his computer is. So no one can see it, but he's able to go and talk to. And the other thing is the conversation that our protagonist has with the computer. I thought was fantastic also. It was a lot of fun. Their banter, the AI, the way he talks back. There's some really quotable things about the way AI actually thinks and is emotionless, but very intelligent. Considering when it was written, I thought it was fantastic. I had a good time reading that whole thing.
And I'll mention that this was a sort of a short story within here. It was like a mythic story that happened on another planet, and Rod's family purchased that building. And because of these aliens who created them, I think they're called Daimli, Daimli,
Daimoni or something,
or Daimoni. They could pick this up off the planet and just drop it, through the atmosphere onto their property, and the building still would be fine. And the computer is one that helps him decide that the best decision going forward after purchasing the Earth as well is to potentially hide out there.
The merits of a lot of the science here is very tenuous, but it's a lot of fun to read.
Yeah.
Although, as you said, like this AI felt like it could exist now, or this computer.
The AI was amazing, yes.
Which I found quite astounding considering it's a 60-year-old book. Right, like I don't really know much about the history of computers or computer science, or even computer science within sci-fi, but that sounds like it was quite ahead of the game at the time.
I agree, yeah.
And we had
yes, remember the
laughing kookaburra.
Laughing. Oh, that was awesome.
Bart, when we were doing this, put up a video or gave us a link to the video, and if you ever want to look that up on YouTube, a laughing kookaburra, it's an amazing bird. I think
anybody want to try and do an impression of the kookaburra?
Well, you're the musical.
All you, Sam. It's all you.
Yeah.
My wife's gone to sleep and she's very heavily pregnant, so I can't do it, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's the only reason, right? That's
the only reason. Otherwise, I'd be doing it straight away.
We should have invited Deb to be with us. She's got another important point here. That old computer was an old war strategy computer that the family bought way back. Yeah, right. That's exactly right.
I mean, I definitely have to say, clearly the only place to keep a secret strategy computer that your family's not supposed to have is in an invisible building that everyone knows you have, obviously. I mean, and this is sadly something that like never came up again. Like this invisible building doesn't come up again at all.
Yep.
And I think that's why it felt like this lucid dreaming of like these pieces that he spends so much time crafting. And then you go to the next section and it's like, oh no, that's done now. Next. Like,
I mean, that's the whole book, really. In a way.
It really is, except for the end. Except for the end.
So we're approximately halfway through the book in terms of chatting about it. I'm not sure. I think we need to talk about Under People.
One thing we have to talk about too. Okay. I know we're gonna not say how he gets to Earth because there is a way, but we can say tall box or short box, big box or small box. And
travel method.
That is a travel method. If people read this book, I feel like that should be a meme shirt because that's like legit. Okay.
I like that.
I think it would be an incredible shirt, just say. And I also have to say that once Rod gets to Earth, there is kind of a silly but important scene that they talk about his nemesis. And his nemesis is now going to be flooded with like more than 300 civil suits. And that's how they're going to defeat his nemesis while he's away at Earth, because it's going to be years and years while he's there. So,
and his nemesis is going to die by the time all these civil suits will be done because he has a short lifespan.
Correct. So I'm adding this really essential piece because that's essentially where they divided up this book. So you guys had asked me earlier and you said it's okay to talk just a tiny bit spoilery, but they ended this book in the most terrible way. So I don't know if you guys remember, but the last sentence is Houghton Syme, which is the name of the guy, buried his face in his hands and sobbed, because it's in the middle of a court case and they just show you like this quick little paragraph of this court case, and then he just is so defeated by yet another court case that he sobs into his hands, and that is the end of this half of the book. Isn't that an interesting place to end?
That's not a good place to end.
No.
I don't think that there was a good place to end, but I don't understand. I think maybe he hadn't written the rest of it.
Yeah, but how do you publish that?
I think
apparently like this.
The one person or the one area that I read, and I don't know my sources well enough to know if this is trustworthy, but had just said that the publisher thought it was going to be too long a book and they wanted to split it in half. Maybe we should go here to another long book that was printed around 1966 or 67 that some of you said it reminded you of.
Well,
me?
Who was it? I think Sam might have brought it up first.
I think it was Whitney.
Or was it Whitney? Okay, go ahead, Whitney.
None of you guys talked about this at all. So this is not an original thought, but you guys very clearly ignored all of my commentary about this. Okay, and I'm looking at you all right now.
I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't agree.
Well, one of the things that I had heard about this book, other than like it's a crazy book, is that Norstrilia was supposed to be a place where Frank Herbert got almost all of his ideas on story structure for the book Dune, the original one. And there are a couple of similarities that I think it's worth talking about. Specifically, we have a main protagonist character who comes from a very prestigious family. And the first big scene is that he has to be tested. Okay, so that's kind of similar. We also have this very heavy emphasis as the story goes along on religion, which we haven't even gotten to yet, and we will. There's obviously both of the books deal with politics in a different way. And I think that there was a third point, and I like totally forgot it right now. So I'm going to let you guys take it from here.
One of the things I found interesting is that both of these were in magazine form as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe that the format, at least of part of this story for Cordwainer Smith, came out prior to the magazine stories for Dune.
But
we
they
can't
were
rely
so
on the
close.
publication of the books themselves if we're wanting to talk about that influence, I think.
But they were so close. I mean, Dune is 65, and this comes out 64. But the book, I mean, it really doesn't come out properly till 75 as a whole thing where people talk about it. So I think it would be unlikely that, that Frank Herbert reads the first half of this, not the complete in 64, and then like this writes the whole book, Dune, which is published, 65. So I think that suggests that maybe I could be wrong.
That is a good.
I was going to say this.
Yeah, there you go. There's the third thing. I think that that's possible, Bart, but I also know that a lot of this book and a lot of this story was published in small pieces in magazines other years. So I would be very curious as to if a couple of these stories were in magazines before it was published ever as a novel.
I mean, I don't know. I
don't know either.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe somebody knows. Maybe someone. Maybe Frank Herbert talked about it at some point that this was an influence, but I have not heard that.
So let's move on. I think that we need to touch on, we're at an hour and a half here already, but I think we need to touch on the Underpeople and how the second novel, I believe it was actually titled The Underpeople when it was published in around 1966, I think. We want to talk about that. We want to also talk about, Whitney had mentioned, the religious elements that we found in here as well. So
can I also just point out that Carrie has an incredible comment right before we move along?
Okay. Let's see here.
Yep, that's it. Carrie, that's an incredible observation. Absolutely.
I can now see those sheep rolling along the desert.
Riding the sheep,
Yeah.
Except the sheep didn't really move. They were.
No, they didn't.
They were trained in, yeah.
Norstrilia is much, much drier than you were mentioning. I disagree. By the way, Dune isn't any relation, so that it's devil's advocate comment. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we have Chris here with us. He's going back to the beginning, so he's going to have fun. Tells us to have fun.
So Underpeople.
Yeah. Underpeople, yes. Basically, I'd mentioned at the beginning that they are sort of an uplifted animal to human form, but there's a few characteristics of that animal still within them. Mostly, though, as well within the personality of the person. There's traces or of the emotional being of an animal, perhaps, but they are used as servants. They do the hard work that the utopia doesn't think that the people should be part of. And we're introduced to Kamel. She is a cat person. The C in front of Kamel is for cat person. And Rod, come to Earth, comes out of his box, is restored, and he becomes restored as a cat person himself. So he's C-Rod, Ka-Rod. And
when he was in the box, was he alive or dead?
Well, I think we're going to leave that one to people when they read it and see what happens, what they think.
Schrodinger's rod.
Yeah.
There you go. Cats. Wow, it all ties together, doesn't it?
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how I want to go with the Underpeople here to start.
I would start with saying, okay, so we know that they're uplifted animals. We also know that they're second-class citizens. And then there's an incredible tie-in between the separation of the people, capital P, with the Underpeople. Underpeople have the hardest jobs, but they're also separated. And throughout this whole adventure, we constantly get to see how they have separate bathrooms. They have separate areas, like big magnetic tunnels where they get to different places. The Underpeople are also supposed to live underneath the cities in the sewers and not with the regular people. So I think that there's like a very obvious comparison with the segregation of the blacks and the whites in America at the time. Because that was the time of the civil rights movements. That was one of the big things that's being discussed at this time. So I think that it is a very interesting corollary.
Well, he was writing this in the middle of the civil rights movement, and I think it was clearly a statement about slavery, and but maybe more so about segregation, like Whitney said, about power. It was interesting. I thought, as a science fiction book, I didn't love the idea of them being uplifted, but also basically human, but just maybe like with a tail or with one thing, eyes. Short stories that come before to really have gained some understanding why it was done this way. But as a metaphor, I think it works very well. If you, especially if you read also, which I listened to, thank you, Dale, again, the Ballad of Lost Camel. That was, I think, where it's more concentrated, because here it's easy to lose this amongst all this other stuff that is happening. But I think this is one of the more important parts of this book in some ways.
It's probably my favorite thematic part of the book as well. And maybe that's also due to it being the theme that is explored the most within the book, especially when we get to the last third or so, right? Because then we're kind of mostly focusing on the situation as he goes down into the underworld and interacts with them a lot more in their own space and on their own terms and under their power. And there was like a section where, yeah, like you said, it's both slavery and segregation, because I feel like he was exploring both of them, because like you said, they have the separate parts, but they do all the work, because the normal people don't do any work. And there's this paragraph or page or something where they were talking about how the whole civilization would just fall apart without them, which is probably would have been the case in the times of like high slavery, right? They wouldn't have had their richness and utopia without the slaves. So I felt like that was a really strong, pointer towards slavery. And I thought that was really well done. And I wanted more.
There might be more in the short stories.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Whitney.
Well, I was just going to say, one of the best parts of that section is when the under people are talking. And one of the big questions is whether or not Rod is one of their messiahs or not. But within this conversation, they're also talking about what makes humans or anyone at all worthwhile, right? Like, how do we know our worth? And they kind of talk about, we know from the very beginning that we're worthless, we're born worthless because the higher power says we are. But then he just kind of like blatantly states it. We know that everything which loves has a value in itself, and therefore the worthlessness of the under people is wrong.
Yeah.
And
there's some beautiful passages for sure.
Yeah.
I also love, if I may, I also loved the part. There was a moment, and it's easy even to overlook, where I don't know if it was Italy Kelly, who was like the main under person, like almost like a prophet for them, right? Where he says that, or someone says that humanity is going to lose. It's a foregone conclusion. I thought that was also interesting because of the stagnation within, once you just use these under people to do everything for you, you become stagnant, you become useless in many ways, and eventually you will be defeated. So I thought that was a strong statement, and juxtaposed with the fact that they also talked about how much these under people coming from animals like cats or dogs, how much they actually love people at the same time. There was like both things. I just thought it was very interesting. I almost thought about that as something that I don't think necessarily the author was thinking about, but I was thinking about our situation with AI and possible future once AI kind of starts doing everything for us, driving all of our cars, taking away of all our jobs. I mean, it is something that I think just about everyone is thinking about right now. I mean, my kids, one of my daughters is looking at colleges right now. And one of the things we think about, like as a profession, if you're going to spend $60,000 a year for a college here in US, what is a good profession to kind of go into? I just thought that was so interesting, the way the under people viewed humanity and the stagnation, because humans are using these under people to do everything for them. So anyway, I thought that was very interesting.
Great point.
I found it very interesting that the whole novel, the second novel or the second half, was spent falling deeper and deeper below the heaven-like structures of the people into the underworld, where things were actually kept and run, the systems that work down there and the people that work down there, that it kept going descending. And it seems like with this prophet Itali Kelly, or with the Messiah figure potentially of Karad, that they were actually elevating what was happening here almost in a religious tone, in terms of concern for the under people and humanity in total. And the rediscovery of man seemed to be happening in context with an uplifting of the under people and bringing down that utopian man, so that there was a struggle and purpose in living. I also thought there were some biblical kind of references. We just said Messiah, and Itali Kelly in my mind kind of looks like an angel from the Old Testament. It looks like Rod McMahon came from a world that reminds me of sort of what Israel farm life might have been like in Nazareth with these sheep. And we have there's sort of different references that you go, okay, I think he's tying a little bit into some Hebrew words or ideas here as well, but he's playing with it. It's not a direct analogy per se. And I found it just helped deepen the impact of what was happening towards the end of the novel.
I think this is the reason why I think somebody mentioned that this is a great novel to reread, because you'd be able to pick up on more of those hints about Christianity, with the symbolism of the fish, for example. There's so much there. It's almost maybe too much, at times, and lack of focus a bit. But I thought, all in all, it was so much fun to read and to pick up on those little hints.
There's parts that people are viewing here. There's parts of this novel that'd be a lot of fun to talk about, but I think really would get way too far in terms of spoilers. The relationship with Kamel and Karad, it gets to a level, especially towards the end of the novel, where you really want to see and read this for yourself, I think.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think we should leave it there. And I don't think we should even really talk too much about endings. We already talked about how one ending kind of brings it back to the beginning in terms of considering Rod McMahon and his situation just to start in the novel itself. Maybe I should just say, are there any other loose thoughts here that you would like to deal with? Or do you want to just go into your final recommendation after we've talked about this part?
I just have one more quote that's at the very beginning towards the book. And I don't know, like, this was a lot more about the history of this universe, but it was the one that says, news is the mother of opinion, opinion the cause of mass delusion, and delusion the source of war. And I just thought that one was particularly inspired.
Yeah.
Somebody's asking about 2 paragraphs with hidden messages. I know nothing about that.
Neither do I.
Please tell us which paragraphs.
I have 2 things to say, a positive and a negative. I'll start with the negative. we talked about the endings and there being two. Really liked the second one. Didn't really like the first one.
I agree.
I felt like it was after all the craziness, everything was just really neatly tied up into a bow, and it didn't feel particularly earned after such a short book, and like we said, kind of a crazy plot that goes everywhere. So I didn't really like that first ending. It felt too neat. I would have liked a little bit more of something going wrong, I guess. I don't know, just to make it feel a bit more realistic, but that's fine. And the thing that I really loved, which we haven't mentioned, there's a section, I won't go into details in case it's too spoilery, where Rod goes through kind of a psychoanalysis, or he kind of confronts his psychology and his past, which really showed to me like Cordwainer Smith putting his psychology into the book into a really, like, in a really effective way that I thought was like quite nicely done and quite impactful. And yeah, I liked that section a lot.
What was the name of the store? It was like the department store of your heart's desires? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah. That one was probably my favorite part. It really won me over as far as this book goes. It was very, very well done and definitely representative of psychology at this time too.
So yeah, I just really liked that.
Yep.
Bart, you look like you have something there too. Or
I mean, there's so much. I liked. He just explores so many things. You're reading something that just a second ago was really kind of absurdist, and then there'll be a sentence that pops up that really makes me think. Anyway, resonates with me. So I'll just read this. Freedom is what you do, my dear, and what I do. Death is a very private affair, my daughter, and life, when you get to it, is almost as private. So I think that's excellent because, you know, we obviously have families and friends and we have each other even, which is amazing and really meaningful to me. So I appreciate all of you guys. But really, like when you think we're all alone, right, in our own consciousness, and you have something like this and death is such a private affair, that's a powerful statement. But life also, you know, in a sense, we're all kind of living our own lives. So I don't know. I love this book because of things like that. I stopped. And, oh my gosh, this is very profound, you know. And there's so many quotable moments like this in this book. It's really impressive, even though as a whole, maybe it doesn't add up to quite what I would like it to be. Like when I think about some of the aspects of the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this should be like a 5-star read. But then it's maybe not. But still, I loved it. I loved a lot of it.
Well, we have an answer to that question from Whitney. Using the first letters of each word, one paragraph says Kennedy shot, referring to Robert Kennedy. So that'd be in the second book. Later in the same chapter, it was King shot 2. Leave it to
Martin Luther King.
I would think so.
Yeah,
gotta be right. Yeah,
using the first letter of each word.
Something's bothering me here, though.
Wow.
Because wasn't Cordwainer Smith? I want to see when he passed away here. He passed away at August 6th, 1966. Is that before these events happened? I can't remember when they were shot.
Was Kennedy.
Yeah.
Well, but this is Robert, he says, not.
Well, Robert was soon after, so he would have been.
Okay. It was that close? All right.
It was close, I think. We can look it up quick.
Yeah. And then
but
King.
I was thinking that Martin Luther King would have been later.
Yeah.
So Robert Kennedy was 1968.
Yeah. So it may be the first Kennedy you're referring to.
Yeah, it must be JFK.
Yeah. Yeah, he just says he may have those backwards. Anyways, it's worth taking a look and seeing later on. I'll do a little research there.
Martin Luther King was also in 1968.
Yeah, same year as Robert. Yeah.
So then that does it. So maybe it's just a coincidence.
Maybe. I don't know.
If it's the first letters, well, I'd have to look it up, but I don't think the first letters would coincidentally spell out to that.
But I mean, if it was published before, he
True.
was shot, then it would just
Oh, of course, yeah.
it's a little telepathic. A little unbelievable that he was predicting it. Because one was, I mean, the first part was published in 64, and the second, I think,
68.
67 or 68. So unless it's, I don't know, we'd have to look into it. It's very interesting. I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I do also have to say, Sam, that I think expecting like an earned or realistic ending in a book like this is probably a little unfair, because the intro wasn't realistic and neither was his motivation for anything he did. And so the ending, I think, can't be that realistic because the intro was not.
It was just so neat. Everything was perfect.
Well, yeah, of course, because I mean, just like our computer in the Hall of Invisibility that everyone knows we have, like, oh yeah, of course. What are you expecting with a story like that? Come on. I also have to say that it was a little bit similar to Ian Banks' Algebraist. There was a ending of one of the books that one of the characters in there that just like wrapped up all nice and perfect, that didn't make any sense. So
we have a whole live stream arguing.
We are not going to start this. This might be my favorite book of the year still. I'm flip-flopping, Whitney. Let's not do this.
But you know what? I'm going to say I liked both endings. And the first ending I liked because it was like a fairy tale would wrap up. That here's this mythic story that we've just told you, that we've related to you, and here's how the richest man on the earth ends up at the end. And then we have this additional epilogue with what I call the second ending, which kind of hits you square between the eyes. And so it's really two very different types of ending, but both in my mind effective.
Well, both of them are also messaging, because one of them deals a little bit more with like a myth or a fairy tale ending, and the other one is more like realistic, but it also comes back around to Nostrilians will be Nostrilians, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, the first ending, I just didn't understand the love connection and the what we weren't gonna get into it totally, but that dream sequence of them spending that felt, I agree with Sam, like just totally even unnecessary. Not unearned is another way of putting it, but just weird.
well, that's not what I thought of as the first ending.
Well, but it's part of it.
It's part of it.
It's part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I was there for the schmaltzy part of it. I was fine with it. 2
more words. Feline breasts.
No, furry. Apparently, are all about this. I don't understand. We have to talk Fritz Lieber and Cordwainer Smith. Really.
We were talking about how there seemed to be potentially pressure on authors at this time to include perhaps a sex scene within their novels, and we're trying to figure out whether Cordwainer Smith was doing his in a way that served his plot more than just a shock surprise of it being inserted. And so that's where this comment comes from for our viewers wondering why all of a sudden this is here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing is you do have to look at this book through the lens when it was written. And also in my conversation I had with Bridger from Library Ladder, he did make a good point about this very thing, that there was quite a bit of pressure. And also, I think it's still, I think, the case, and maybe we've even talked about it at some point, that when it comes to science fiction channels, the viewership, if we go into analytics, it is mostly male. But back then, it was based exclusively. So if you're, who are you writing? And a lot of young men also. So maybe that pressure was, I don't want to say justified, to include something as, just offhanded, just like throw it in there. But it probably did sell more books having it there than not. And this is something that Bridger talked about as a valid point. This was that's part of the landscape at the time, basically.
Bart had an amazing chat with Bridger earlier. I think you posted earlier this week, is it?
Sunday, yeah.
On Sunday, yes. And so you should go to Bart's Book Space and see that chat with Bridger of the Library Ladder. It was with a deep voice. It was a great interview.
Thank you.
Let's see. We have some comments here. They're still trying to figure out potentially where that happened. Perhaps it was in Quest for Three Worlds, which I believe is some more of his stories. Let's see. Story with Truth Borders on.
All right. Interesting.
So we're almost at 2 hours here. Let's once again maybe just remind people what you appreciate about the book, or what you question. And actually, you know what? We did that in the middle, didn't we? How about you tell us a little bit about what you're planning to do on your channel, or the reads that you're looking forward to coming up? So we'll go around the normal way I see on my screen here now. Again, Sam, Bart, Whitney, and then myself.
So I mentioned it earlier. I'm currently reading a fantasy book because I read both. I'm reading a Malazan book, and it's taken me forever because it's massive, but it's really good. And then I'm going to be reading three. And then I'm going to be reading Childhood's End, which I'm very excited about. My first Clark, which is shameful. So looking forward to reading that. And channel-wise, I'm not really sure, because in about a month's time, I'm not really sure about that either. I will be taking a break when my child is born. So that's all up in the air. So I'm just kind of not really thinking about it at the moment because my brain is full. So got a lot of fun reads coming up, but not sure what's happening with the channel. Just going to take it as it goes.
Bart.
Cool. Well, as far as reads, I'm reading 2 books right now. I received a book from a viewer, and it's pretty good. It's a young adult, The Exemplar. So I started reading this. It's fun. He lives in Colorado, not too far from where I am. He was nice enough to send me the book. It's a fun read, but I started reading. Finally, I got to the last book.
Yay!
And finally, and I'm loving it. I only read maybe 60 pages, and I'm already like, oh my gosh, why did I wait so long to get back to this world? Hyperion, the book I've read a couple of times. It's, if not it's certainly top 3 for me all time. I love it, and I'm glad that I'm reading The Rise of Endymion, because it's awesome. It's awesome. Such rich world building. Great, just an amazing combination of hard SF, hard enough, and great writing. So yeah, I'm loving this story. As far as the channel, not much happening. I'm gonna do a wrap up of I've read a lot of books this month, so I'm gonna talk about that soon. And I'm looking forward to actually. I think I can mention. Hopefully, Richard and I will get together soon. For a little short get together, but we'll see each other. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
We're talking in person.
In person, yes, not like this. Actually, see each other. I'll see how tall you are. I've heard you're fabulously tall, so
might be over exaggerating.
Okay, so that's exciting. And then perhaps Whitney as well. In December, we might get together and hang out a little bit. Maybe get coffee, look at books. We'll see what's going to happen.
Cool Kids Club. Sorry.
I feel so lonely right now.
So this is exciting.
Oh, you have a special visitor coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
For your life.
True. Yes. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, seeing you guys in person, and
I bet you'll be done by the time I see you. That novel.
Yeah, I think so.
Whitney.
Yeah. It's such fun to go from like one author's prose into another author's prose. Sometimes it's like jumping into like a warm bath or a cold pool. I think that's really interesting. So
that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy, because I was just not too long ago with friends. We went to this place. My friend convinced me to do a cold plunge You go from a cold plunge, the water is like 33, 34. You have ice floating, and you get into a hot bath and sauna, which is like crazy, like 200 degrees plus, and you just go alternate. And so that's a great analogy. Really
Come to Iceland.
Yeah. I will. I just got to.
Definitely sounds like a Nordic health thing, doesn't it?
I was cold plunging. I was cold plunging like a week or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, your cold plunging is probably more intense than I can handle. That's for sure. So I'm currently reading Diaspora by Greg Egan. I think I'm going to finish it tonight. We'll see. And then I am also reading, or technically listening to, Beast Speaker by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which is the third novel in his Dogs of War series.
That's pretty much brand new, isn't it?
Yeah, it just came out this year, which is one of the things I'm working on for my channel. So my next video is going to be a little bit more of a fun one. It's going to be, I think, what to read after Dungeon Crawler Carl. And then I have Candy Reads. And then I think I'm going to do something like the best 2025, best books published in 2025. So
awesome.
Do you have a favorite book from this that was published this year? Anything that, or any book that you liked that you could mention?
Yeah, I have quite a few, but I really liked Where the Axe Was Buried, which is a Ray Naylor book.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that.
That one was, I don't think it's going to be my top, but it was very enjoyable, very different than the first book that he wrote. It deals more with like a dystopia than it does anything about first contact or space or anything like that. He's a writer that I just connect with. He reminds me of a lot of older writers, and I really enjoy that. So
The Mountain and the Sea was good. The Tusks of Extinction I read as well. That's a short one, also interesting. He's a good author for sure. Someone writing now who gets, I think, sci-fi, who does sci-fi, excuse me, the right way.
I agree. I think he does.
Yeah.
And you, Richard, when are you reading Use of Weapons?
That is one of the books I'm planning to read. I might take it with me on the trip where I see Bart, as one of the books I read on the road. I've been trying to get some videos done ahead of time for the road, and I'm taking part of something called Dinovember. So this is a collection of short stories. Got a couple of Robert Sawyer novels that I've finished out. Lots of dinosaur stuff here. And I was reading my first Manly Wade Wellman book, a time travel story. So I'm just finishing that up. Use of Weapons might be the next one after that. We'll see. In case people don't know, Sam Not So Wise is very much a fan of the Culture series. And so he's been encouraging me to dip my toe into it. And I really enjoyed Player of Games. The review just was up this week for that one.
Well, depending on your mood, Richard, if you're feeling like you're stable enough for a emotional nuclear bomb, then please pick up Use of Weapons. If you are, however, not, then I wouldn't pick up John either.
That makes me want to read it more.
I think it's a book. It's a hit or miss. It's not an easy read. It's got a challenging structure, and it's like Whitney said. It's that there's definitely some heavy themes. It's not what you'd expect. Yeah.
It's so good.
But it is. It is great. Yeah.
Yeah. You'll also have to tell us what cover you have, because that does matter.
I have the series that Sam has there with that little stripe at the top of it. So it'll be whatever that cover is.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a battleship.
Yeah,
whatever.
the one I did for the
Oh, okay. I was gonna say the one that haunts me is the chair, the cover with the chair.
Yeah.
I don't want to know. The chair. Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expect some messages, Richard, on that one.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll let you know how I'm getting along with it as I go. All right, and thank you to you too, the people who've been watching here online and have joined us. That one story that they're referring to that they didn't necessarily like, I'm assuming this is a short story from Cordwainer Smith, was T Ruth. So T could potentially be the beginning word of an animal name, the way the other was for.
There was a turtle or a tortoise or something,
yes,
wasn't there?
You're right. Yeah. And we're still on, but we're going away now. Thanks, Joe, for joining us. There's lots to watch ahead. You can go back and see.
Can I say something at the end? It just
definitely. Oh, and they say turtle. Yes. Yeah.
Just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
No, you're up.
Oh, just want to say that it's my birthday today. Believe it or not, this was what I wanted to do on my birthday, and I'm not disappointed. It was super nice hanging out with you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bart, happy birthday, man.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I hope you're going to go do something fun.
Yeah.
I'm so privileged that you wanted to spend it with us. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm doing something fun tomorrow, maybe Saturday with my brother, and then I'm in New York, but I'm going back to Colorado. So on Monday and next week, I'll be spending time with family and friends. So this was awesome. I just wanted to say thank you because otherwise I would have been alone on my birthday, literally.
Oh, that sucks.
So this was awesome. So thank you all.
Till hamingju med afmælið.
Oh, I don't know how to say thank you in Icelandic. How do you say thank you in Icelandic?
Takk.
Takk. Oh,
Actually, that's the same in a couple of Nordic languages, isn't it?
Yeah. Or it's like your yes, takk. Yeah. Or you could say þakka þér fyrir if you wanted to.
Takk fyrir.
Yeah, why not? That's close enough. Close enough for jazz.
Oh my gosh.
And
Thank
we
you,
have some
Dale.
birthday wishes coming in.
Very nice, very nice. This was awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Oh, Jim from Mystery and Mayhem is with us now too. And Deb enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, Deb. We'll have to have you. You and I will have to discuss a novel someday too. But I think she connects because she's from Australia. Especially, she really connects with that Norstrilia. So she gave us a few good comments there about that.
Yes.
All right. So until next time, do you remember what I say at the end of my videos? Until next time,
keep reading.
Keep
reading.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, folks.